In the 19th century, chemistry was chaos. Dozens of elements had been discovered, but no one knew how they fit together. No guiding pattern, no logic. Only fragments of knowledge scattered like stars without constellations. And then there was one man who looked into this chaos and saw order. His name was Dmitri Ivanovich Mendeleev, the man who gave the world the periodic table. Mendeleev was born in 1834 in the remote Siberian town of Tobolsk, Russia. He was the youngest of 17 children, though only a few survived into adulthood. His father went blind and lost his job when Dmitri was still young. His mother, determined and resilient, opened a glass factory to support the family. But tragedy struck again. The factory burned down, and his father soon died. Still, his mother refused to give up. She took her son on a journey of more than 1,500 kilometers to St. Petersburg on horseback. By carriage, by sheer willpower, so that he could receive an education. Years later, Mendeleev would say, "It was my mother who molded me. She taught me to seek and never to give up." In St. Petersburg, Mendeleev studied at the main pedagogical institute, later becoming a professor at the university. He was brilliant, eccentric, and endlessly curious. He wrote textbooks, experimented late into the night, and filled his home with flasks, powders, and the smell of sulfur. Yet, his mind was restless. He wanted not just to memorize facts about elements, but to understand them. Why did some elements behave alike? Why did certain properties repeat? There had to be a hidden order, a rhythm beneath nature's surface. In 1869, Mendeleev began writing a new chemistry textbook. To organize the elements, he wrote each one on a card. Hydrogen, lithium, sodium, chlorine, laid them across his desk. Days turned to nights as he rearranged and compared them by atomic weight and properties. At one point, he collapsed from exhaustion, and legend says that in a dream, the pattern came to him. He awoke and wrote down what would become the periodic law. The properties of the elements are a periodic function of their atomic weights. For the first time, nature's chaos had structure, a table of elements, arranged not by accident, but by pattern. But the table had gaps, spaces where no known elements fit. Many scientists laughed. They said it was incomplete, even foolish. But Mendeleev was confident. He said those gaps were not mistakes, but predictions. He boldly described the properties of elements that had not yet been discovered, naming them eka-aluminum, eka-silicon, eka-boron. And within a few years, those very elements, gallium, germanium, scandium, were found matching his predictions almost exactly. The laughter stopped. The world realized that Mendeleev hadn't just organized known chemistry. He had revealed nature's hidden architecture. Yet Mendeleev was more than a chemist. He was a philosopher of science, believing deeply in the unity of the natural world. He once said, "Science is a way of thinking much more than it is a body of knowledge." He saw chemistry not as a collection of facts, but as a living system, an unfolding story of discovery. Mendeleev's curiosity extended far beyond the lab. He studied agriculture, meteorology, even tried to measure the weight of the ether, the invisible substance once thought to fill space. He also designed a new form of smokeless gunpowder and worked to modernize Russia's industry and education. Despite his genius, Mendeleev faced opposition from the conservative Russian Academy. He was passed over for election, perhaps because of his independence, his refusal to conform. But his influence only grew with time. In his later years, his white beard and intense eyes gave him the look of a prophet. Even as his health declined, his mind never stopped seeking patterns. Dmitri Mendeleev died in 1907 at the age of 72. On his desk, a final note was found. Sketches of chemical equations, unfinished but filled with curiosity. Today, every chemistry classroom carries a piece of his vision. The periodic table, that elegant grid of life's building blocks, is a monument to the human desire to find order in chaos. From a poor boy in Siberia to one of the greatest scientific minds in history, Mendeleev proved that knowledge is not born of comfort, but of wonder, persistence, and the courage to see patterns where others see confusion. The most essential part of scientific discovery, he once wrote, is seeing what everyone has seen and thinking what no one else has thought. If you enjoyed this journey into the life of Dmitri Mendeleev, subscribe for more stories of art, science, and philosophy, where genius meets the human spirit.